Welcome to a very special review edition of the Simply Put podcast. My name, of course, is Micki Angeles.
And I'm the one and only Fred Niones. So in the meantime, in between time, let's get this podcast started.
So like we talked about, this is going to be an in-depth review of Captain America, The Winter Soldier, directed by Anthony Joe Russo. Stars Chris Evans, Scarlett Johansson, Sebastian Stan, Anthony Mackie, Colby Smulders, Samuel Jackson, Robert Redford, a bunch of other people that you know or might not know. But basically, we're going to give you a review, initially a non-spoiler review. But then after that, we're going to go very in-depth, very spoiler-heavy, and give you our insight on what we felt about the film and how we feel that it shapes the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We're going to talk about every sequence that we believe was very well done, plus also the after-credit sequences, which was actually directed by Josh Whedon.
One of them, because there is two.
There is two. And then after that, we're going to kind of, just talk about like where we see this going and how it's going to be good, bad, or indifferent. Mm-hmm. So to get it started, let's just go with our overall view. Let's start with you, Fred. Let's see, what did you think about it? You saw it once, right?
Yeah, I saw it once. I caught the double feature where they showed the first Cap and then Winter Soldier right after. I gotta give it a 10, man. From the get, it was that good.
It's a 10 already.
It was that good in my opinion. To me, when I first saw it, better than Avengers, and I'm putting it better than Dark Knight. Right there. And you know how much I'm a Batman fan.
The cards are laid out, my friend. So,
right down to the character development was great. The chemistry between the cast members shined throughout. The storyline for Cap was amazing. Very well done. The fight sequences, the CGI, everything was good. It's the best Marvel movie today. And Age of Ultron, here we go.
Yeah. So I can't really beat a 10. But I would. So I saw it twice. I loved it. I loved Captain America: The Winter Soldier. It was amazing. It gave a lot of in-depth look of who Captain America is and who he's trying to be, and he was kind of going through his whole soul searching. Black Widow definitely was highlighted a lot more in this film. Mm-hmm. You see a lot more of Nick Fury and who he is, or what he's trying to get out of it. You see what S.H.I.E.L.D. is. You get a little bit, if you're a fan of the S.H.I.E.L.D. TV series, this kind of puts a little damper on what you're watching, or it might or might not, or kind of.
I think it heightens it because I am a fan of the show. Definitely.
So I liked that it was the Winter Soldier storyline because I'm not really a big Cap fan. I don't like the guy. I'm not saying I'm not saying I don't like the guy. I'm just saying I just have other characters that I like more than him, and but Captain America storyline with Winter Soldier makes sense, especially for a 2, because it rounds out not only his story but also the stories that took place after the Avengers.
And it's a natural progression of his character.
Yeah,
so and it flows very well.
And also, basically we're gonna that my review basically is in a non-spoiler fashion. It was amazing. The first time I saw it, it was like better than the Avengers. Second time I saw it, it was more of like a question mark, because then I started realizing I did like a lot of things for Avengers, but having the Winter Soldier kind of question that makes it a very good movie already. And I think it's the best solo film from the Marvel Cinematic Universe
since Iron Man.
Though I like the Thor a lot. Mm-hmm. Which I know a lot of people haven't, but it's just a story that touches me in a little bit, because I just look past the Asgardian guard. I look more about the feelings and emotions that it brought.
Yeah.
So Angelo gave it a 10. I'm like a 9.5. So that's like, if a 10 is like 10 viewings, probably a 9.5 is probably like 8 viewings. We have also listened to a few other reviewers, and me and Angelo actually might watch this in IMAX, because some of the fight sequences is really good.
Especially when the spoiler alert, the 3 helicarriers come out of the water. Seeing that on the IMAX screen alone is worth the admission.
That's not really a spoiler. If it's all in the trailer.
But
But
you know
we're
what I
gonna
mean?
get into spoilers. So since we're talking about fighting, Fred, why don't you start us off with the fight sequences, since that seems to be like a shining star. No pun, no pun intended. It's a shining star to like what makes this movie like great. So go.
From the first fight sequence we saw against Batroc and Cap on the tanker was amazing. They had this one shot.
Batroc was GSP, right?
Yeah, GSP.
Oh,
St. Pierre.
George St. Pierre.
And you had Batroc on one side, Cap on the other. They look at each other, and it's like, it's about to go down.
And it's funny how they. It's funny that they just let him speak French because obviously his English isn't as good.
But it added to the character. Like, he was more
It
menacing.
did, yeah.
It from that part, it felt like a Bond movie.
Yeah.
So, like...
It's funny because, like you said, menacing, and then, like, for you comic book fans, you know that Batroc is known as the Tumbler.
I think Leaper.
Leaper,
Yeah, the Leaper.
whatever, you know. For them to make the Leaper so realistic and badass is pretty good.
And they adapted his costume, too, very well. But anyway, back to the fight scene. They just ran at each other. It was a still shot, wide angled. Boom, boom, boom. You see him throw MMA moves, Superman punches, him leaping, and then Cap just reversing everything, and then he taunts him saying, I thought you were more than a shield. So he puts the shield down, and then he just destroys him, seeing his super soldierness. Then before even that, you see Black Widow moving through. Her action sequences in this movie were done beautifully. It's the best one so far.
Before that one too, like as soon as Captain America got into the ship, he was just beating up these minions like left and right. Like he used his shield, like he used it better than what he used it in the first movie, and he was just like, it looked like Cap got new moves.
You know, it looked like he was actually working the shield into the offense instead of defense.
Exactly. And he's also, you know, Cap in the comic books was always a great fighter.
Yeah.
I didn't really get to see that in the first one, but in this second movie, the Captain America Winter Soldier, his fighting skills just got enhanced. And that probably has to do a lot with like the choreography from the guy who did the Raid 2 movies.
Yeah.
And if you haven't seen Raid or Raid 2, it's a great movie. It's from China.
I think
Taiwan?
Indonesia.
I'm sorry. So there's a lot of MMA, Muay Thai, and a little bit of boxing in it.
And parkour also.
And a lot of parkour because the way Cap moves, it's like after one punch, just like it just has a flow to it. Like every combination,
it has a purpose.
Exactly.
Almost.
So like no wasted movement. He just kept on going. But let's get to the nitty gritty. Let's talk about the Winter Soldier and Cap fighting.
Oh man, I think it's the best fights. Those fight scenes with him and Winter Soldier, Cap and Winter Soldier, are the best comic book fight scenes ever you've seen on screen.
Definitely. And especially the ones I liked was the first one where Cap doesn't have a uniform.
Oh, yeah.
So he's fighting the Winter Soldier as Steve Rogers, and it looks a little bit more like the Bourne series. Like he just was like fighting this guy with a metal arm. You know, he does have his shield, but it's just amazing. It's like the punches, the kicks, the throwdowns. Like,
felt so real, man.
And it's like the knife fight too. It's just basically like you have two characters who have incredible strength, incredible endurance, incredible stamina, and they're just fighting. There's no way to stop these guys. They're just going to keep on going. It's two powerhouses. I felt like this fight is better than seeing Thor and the Hulk fight. The Thor and Hulk fight was a little bit more comedic, where this one looks like super intense. A lot. Every punch had a block. Every block had like countermeasure to. It was just amazingly
counters on counters on counters.
Exactly, and even the shield play. And the shield play was pretty good on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
Like when the Winter Soldier. Well, if you guys didn't know, the Winter Soldier is Bucky Barnes.
Yeah.
If you watch Captain America 1, you notice that when Cap went to save his whole platoon, that they found Bucky Barnes in
like strapped down,
like in a laboratory kind of table. So the whole story with that is the Winter Soldier was taken by Armin Zola, did some experiments to him.
Got brainwashed, mind wiped, all
brainwashed. That. He kind of had some sort of super soldier serum, but not the exact same one as Captain America. So he's almost as strong as Cap, but just a little bit of a diluted serum to it. But that was just the first fight. Then you have the fight with Captain America the Falcon and
Winter Soldier.
and the Winter Soldier when they're trying to take down the Hellcarriers.
That was cool. Oh, the way the Falcon's sequences alone were great.
Yeah,
seeing
they made
a guy fly with wings.
They made a guy in
Holy
a comic
crap,
book.
man.
He made a guy with a comic book where he wears red and talks to birds. Look pretty cool.
Yeah.
His backstory about being a war veteran.
He was like a paratrooper.
Was another great story. You know, it was a great
Great
storyline between
adaptation.
them. Yeah. So the fight sequence was amazing. Like even the last fight scene with Captain America and Winter Soldier in the last Hellcarrier as it's going down was pretty good.
I like that one because you felt the emotion between the both two characters. It felt like when Rocky was fighting Apollo almost. You felt the emotion in every punch. Like Cap trying to save his friend and his friend fighting his inner demons during the fight.
Yeah,
it was amazing.
It was a very psychological fight, at least for Cap. At least,
Yeah.
you know, Cap. There was one scene where Cap just didn't want to beat him up, but then you see him lift him up with his bare hands,
Off his
with
feet.
one hand, and he's like 3 feet off the ground, and he's going through these whole emotional things. Like, I can't do this to Bucky.
Yeah.
But then he does an MMA hold and chokes him out. The thing that I liked about that fighting sequence was that when we know this is a comic book movie, so we know that, or actually with Captain America, we don't know,
Yeah.
but he's not gonna die in this movie. So when he was getting shot in certain places, I was like, "Damn, is Cap gonna make it out of
Yeah,
this?"
no. It felt
I knew he's gonna make it, obviously, because he is the star of this film, and we're not really ready for that part of the storyline. But he was getting shot, and we never saw him get this injured.
Yeah.
Like, he got a laceration on his cheek that you could definitely see was wide open, shot in the stomach, shot in the butt. He got cheddar bobbed, and then he got shot in his shoulder, and then right before he was about to finish the sequence about putting down these hell carriers, he gets shot right in the stomach, or what we think is the stomach. And then not only that, and then he goes and fights him again.
Amazing.
And then this is when it gets a little bit more psychological to Winter Soldier. I think is when if Cap says "finish me" if you don't believe who I am, and just starts pounding his face, and you see the right side of Captain America's face all bloodied, and then he drops down to the water.
Bucky saves him.
And then
He remembers.
Now Bucky has some kind of soul searching to do.
Yeah. I'm not sure, but did Steve Rogers say in the movie, "Remember who you are"?
He didn't say those words exactly, but what he did was on the exposition where Cap's mom dies, so he becomes an orphan.
Oh, okay.
Bucky tells him,
end of the line. Yeah,
I'm with you till the end of the line.
Yeah.
So he basically just reverberates that to the Winter Soldier right before he was gonna pretty much kill Captain America.
I asked that because I recently read the comic book, the graphic novel for Winter Soldier, where they took the storyline from, and in the climax scene, Steve Rogers is holding the cosmic cube, and he looks at Bucky and says, "Remember who you are," and he just flash. He starts remembering, but yeah, that's
I mean, you know what, and the thing that we like to say about that, how you read the comic book, was that Ed Brubaker was actually definitely created for. He was credited as to creating this story.
Yeah,
and he was actually in a cameo too.
He was one of the first scientists you see working on Winter Soldier. That was pretty cool.
That was pretty cool. He was. He definitely looked kind of nervous to the scene, but it was cool.
At least he didn't have any lines.
He had Ed Brubaker there. Stan Lee had his cameo. That was pretty cool. He
that was funny.
Smithsonian
security guard. I'm gonna lose my job.
So we finished the Michael Bay portion of this review with all the fights,
explosions.
So we're gonna go a little bit more to the multiple storylines. So since you keep on hearing us talk about Winter Soldier and Cap, we're gonna kind of talk about more of the other aspects. Let's talk about the ones we first see is Sam Wilson, played by Anthony Mackie.
That guy is the man.
He's a paratrooper who is a veteran from 2 tours in war.
Yeah.
He meets Cap after a brief run.
On your left.
Yeah, that was a great kind of
on your left.
So Anthony Mackie is the Falcon.
Yeah.
he meets Cap. They kind of have a relationship between each other. They kind of describe like the the dealings a person has after he's been through several like wars and stuff.
Like post traumatic stress.
Yeah, and how you deal with it. You know, like your bed just doesn't feel the same. You know, you wake
It's
up,
too
you start
soft,
seeing things. You feel like you're just getting trapped. I think that friendship. That's one of the few storylines I liked in the comic books where Sam Wilson was always a fan of Cap. But this one, they didn't make him like a fanboy. You know, Anthony Mackie doesn't look like a fanboy. They made it look like...
That's why they had Coulson as the fanboy.
Yeah. they want to... Yeah, that was right. They made Anthony Mackie, the Falcon, more of...
Like a confidant almost.
Listen, I'm your soldier.
Yeah.
I will follow you. You're my captain. So
yeah,
that was
he says that
cool.
at the end when like Fury tries to recruit him and he goes, I'm with him. Whatever you want me to do, I'm going to do it.
He's just... Yeah, that was a great, you know... and they didn't really make it too comic booky. They made it like legitimate, like they had respect for each other.
And then it blossomed into a beautiful friendship.
Another storyline before we get to the big meaty ones could be with I think Samuel L. Jackson's Nick Fury and Cap, how their visions of peace and controlling it differs highly.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, Captain America believes in fighting for the right freedom, whereas Nick Fury's a little bit more on the...
I think to Fury, it's more about protecting what's already here, while Cap is trying to preserve what is right. You know what I
mean? No.
Yeah?
That's not how I see it. I see it as Nick Fury takes more preventative measures to threats, and Cap kind of like deals with threats.
All right.
If that makes sense. Like Cap, like... He fought in the war because Hitler was, you know,
like
mutilating.
He said in the first movie, "I just don't like bullies, whatever they."
Yeah,
are, so.
Exactly. Whereas Nick Fury is trying to be like a Minority Report kind of guy, like judging before. Like
that's why Cap goes, live in the shadows.
Caps goes. Oh, so judgment before. I thought judgment always came after the crime.
Yeah.
So basically,
that was one of the great scenes in the beginning of the movie, like the first act. I mean, because you see that added, you see them quarrel a little bit more, like when he in the office, Steve goes like, "Innocent people could have died in the tanker," and then Nick Fury fires back, "That's why I sent the greatest soldier ever to prevent that." It was amazing to see that kind of stuff.
It's basically a spy movie, so you know you don't know what's true, you don't know what's not true, you know what are lies, and Cap's stuck, you know, which is a good storyline throughout the entire movie. Is Cap stuck in this mentality of
the black and white
World
everyone's
War II,
moved into
bad
gray.
Bad guys are bad guys, good guys are good guys, but sometimes bad guys do good things and sometimes good guys do bad things, or in bad ways or in other different ways. So Cap's stuck with figuring out what things are, and the one person who's not stuck is Black Widow.
Actually, she kind of does towards the end.
Towards the end, that's because she's not sure. She feels like she's in the job too long. So basically, you know, Widow does a different mission to Cap in the tanker. Yeah. It's taking intelligence, and the way that intelligence plays out is it's an algorithm that Arnim Zola, which we find out is still alive.
Yeah, you see the
bunker,
the camera head, and the video stomach.
Yeah, people. It was really good, and that's the thing I liked about it too, which I talked about my brother about this since we saw different screenings. I loved how it's not just a sequel for Cap 2. It's also a sequel for the Avengers. And the way I look at it is, you know, they have all these things that have the Avengers tie-in where he's working for S.H.I.E.L.D. now, but then they go back to like the training facility in Camp
Lehigh.
1. You know, he looks at himself. They do this little old boy past looking at future kind of thing. If you haven't seen Old Boy the remake, not Old Boy the
original,
the Korean film, but I loved it, and you know what, that's another thing I liked about it. Me and my brother were talking about how there's a lot of great compositions in these scenes. You know, the foreground background focus switch. You know, I think one of the better scenes was when we see the Robert Redford character Alexander Pierce take a sip of his champagne, and then it goes to the foreground, and then it shows like all the helicarriers like breaking apart. There's a lot of beautifully shot like scenes here. Like you could like stop it, pause, capture it, and it's a great photo that you could hang up in
Yeah.
your wall. But getting back to the Captain America Black Widow thing, she definitely knows more than Cap.
Yeah.
And she's been alive. You know, she's been doing some crazy stuff with the KGB. She actually
They actually acknowledge that, which is cool. Very
Yeah.
cool.
especially that scene where Cap's a fugitive and then
Oh,
they
yeah.
go to the Apple store. Like she just like it showed you the difference between a soldier and a spy.
Yeah, like I liked how they shined her intelligence throughout this. Like,
Yeah.
throughout the first two movies you've seen her in, which was Iron Man 2 and Avengers, she played almost like a smartass. But this time she was like, actually, holy crap, she knows how to hack
Yeah.
and all that. So it's like she's a really like a legit spy, intelligent. You know what I mean? So that was great. You felt the chemistry and the comfortability between Chris Evans and Scarlett Johansson throughout the movie. I like their friendship. They were like buddy throughout, and like learning to trust each other was a major plot point in the movie.
And they did have some romantic elements too, which was I'm not really sure if I.
But I think it was like
liked
more.
It, or not.
It was more like a parody though of the romantic.
It could be.
You know what I mean?
But it was so weird. Like, why was like Scarlett Johansson so interested in like Steve's love life? Like throughout the entire movie, they talk about
she's a great wingman. That's why, yeah.
maybe, but then she kind of likes it. Like that's the thing
Like
about
you
Black
say all the
Widow,
time.
You don't know.
Like you say all the time, it ain't fun unless the homies can't get none.
I guess it's not because I would if I look at Black Widow. If I was Cap, Black Widow's my bitch.
I don't know.
Come
Yeah.
on, man. She
Yeah,
she
no,
could
she's
like
bad.
she could supposedly. Well, I don't know if they don't really talk about it in this movie, but supposedly, well, in the comic books,
Maybe-
Black Widow falls in love with
Winter Soldier.
with,
So maybe
uh,
that's why.
yeah, and that's because like they train together. There was a whole exposition about it.
Yeah,
in
he
the
actually
movie.
trained her because they
Yeah.
put him on ice. Then he trained her as a kid and then throughout her adulthood and stuff.
You know what? And also, like some of the, I loved like. See, I wasn't a big Scarlett Johansson fan initially when they were casted her.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it was just me. Just wanted like a Russian kind of voice to. Every time I look at Black Widow, I hear this Russian voice. But every scene that I saw Scarlett Johansson playing Black Widow in, it was amazing. Like even the bubblegum scene.
Yeah,
Like when Cap puts the USB in the food dispenser.
yeah, that was
then-
funny.
It's like, hey, it was great. And then, the scar, and then it shows like her kind of connection with Winter Soldier with the scar that she was on a job, but then Winter Soldier assassinated her mark
Yeah, right through her stomach.
right through her stomach, and then you see her scar and everything. But then after they meet Armzola,
Yeah,
which was amazing. Actually, no, let's pause there too. Like Armzola, right? Basically, what it was after the events of Captain America 2, Armzola was recruited by
Howard Stark, and Peggy Carter
to
start up
to start up
Shield.
Shield. So basically, they're gonna try to make another super soldier serum, or just kind of something to help protect the United States of America.
I didn't catch
right?
that, so that makes sense.
So when they were doing this, Armzola was still Hydra. So that's when like it's so that Shield was infiltrated by these people from inception. And
A parasite. They were a
Exactly.
parasite from the beginning.
and as Angelo mentioned before, it was great to see the TV and the camera.
And it moved while he was like looking at Steve, and then if it would move when Widow would talk, it was amazing.
And like how like they interacted with each other. When Steve broke one TV, he was
Yeah.
like, "Are you stupid? You
Yeah.
dumb idiot! I'm a artificial being now."
Yeah,
Do you think he's dead? Because I have a little theory about this thing.
I don't think so because of the end credits that we'll get into
Yeah,
with who the reveal, who the big bad was.
I think we're supposed to perceive him dead
Yeah.
because the next movie is Avengers: Age of Ultron.
Yeah,
And what Ultron does is very similar, where his intellectual it's going to be a different kind of origin story to Ultron.
I think Age of Ultron is gonna have a more sci-fi tech.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to
feel.
say is like Ultron. They don't want to break what Ultron's gonna become,
Definitely.
where he jumps from operating system to operating system which makes him like so impossible to beat. You could beat the robotic version, but the intellectual, artificial side of him, the AI of him, will just jump to another one because he's so smart. That's why That's why I feel like they put Arnim Zola in. I mean, yeah, right.
Yeah, Armin Zola.
I'm getting confused with these Hydra villains.
Armin Zola.
Armin Zola, right? Armin Hammer. That's so sorry for the sniffling because I got allergies, so I'm just trying to fight through this. That's why they put him in like that old computer kind of, because like they don't want to show that, oh, so he's like Armin Zola kind of.
Yeah.
So that's my feelings on it. But to get back to what we were talking about, was the storyline was Black Widow. After that scene where Arnim Zola was doing a shitload of exposition, and the next thing you know, they get blown up because he was stalling.
Bond villain style.
Exactly. It's like the laser going through Captain America's penis. I mean, no. Black Widow, after that scene, she gets very, like, her mentality gets a little bit different.
Yeah.
She's basically, verbatim, she said, oh, so I guess I traded KGB to work for Hydra now. So it shows that she wants to do good, but she has this like inner battle about her. Every time she does good, she seems to be doing so much more bad. And I think that's a great relationship where Cap comes in and says, I'm always going to be honest, kind of helping her through her way.
And that's another thing about this movie, the character development for Widow and Cap. Because there's a early part in the movie where he meets Sam Wilson, and Sam Wilson talks about life after being a soldier. So I think this is my honest opinion, that for Cap and Widow, this is them escaping that lifestyle to become full-fledged superheroes. That's what sets up, to me, Avengers, because he said, like, oh, like, what do you want to do? What makes you happy? And he likes saving people. Yeah. That's what he was built for. You know, that Dr. Erskine in the first film, be a good man. That's what he is. So I think that's where they're going to head.
With great power comes great responsibility.
You know, like them accepting that mantle of being a superhero. You know, there's no more gray here. They're not soldiers. So that's going to be pretty cool how they handle that in the Age of Ultron. The other characters like Nick Fury, he was very well rounded out throughout this movie. Like, I feel that every actor returning found their groove with their characters in this movie. Like, you felt like that's who they are right now.
Exactly. So let's get to that. Let's get to, like, Chris Evans. Chris Evans plays Captain America. I felt like in this movie he had a better understanding of where Cap is in his life. Just the way, like, when he met Sam, he had a book about things that he missed, and he's trying to get it. All these, jabs at him. And it wasn't too overbearing. It was just a few jabs.
And it was a very funny scene, too.
I think that whoever wrote that line in the beginning about the fossil line with Scarlet Johansson, was really... It was amazing. It was a great line to where Cap is about him being a fossil, stuck. He's a man from the past, stuck in the modern days. And he played it well. Already throughout this whole interview. So review. We already talked about how Chris Evans is, how Scarlett Johansson is, and everything. But let's get back to the other characters. Let's talk about Anthony Mackie as the Falcon.
That guy.
I'll start off with, I was very hesitant on him, not only because of Mr. 8 Mile, but
Papa Doc.
Like, I was like, what was he doing? Like, he just kept on talking trash about Tony Stark in every single interview. And I'm like, what the hell is this guy doing? Like, is he going to ruin the Marvel franchise by just talking all this shit? But then we see him, and there couldn't be any other person to play this part.
I agree with you.
When
I heard the news he was casted, I loved it because
you saw a little bit more movies from him. I didn't see that many.
What sold me on him and being a great actor was Pain and Gain with Mark Wahlberg and The Rock. Like, but he was very good in that.
I liked him in that too. But the announcement came before that, so I wasn't really sure how Mackie was. But then, after Pain and Gain, I was
sold on that. So he was great. I loved his banter throughout. Like, in the interview, he said that his motivation to play Sam Wilson was to be the best black superhero ever. And, like, the way he handled his characters with like he said that when he sees Black Widow in his mind, she's a love interest for him. And when he talks to Nick Fury, that's his like long lost dad. So,
I don't even know this. This is hilarious.
This guy is the man, yo. I guess that's his method way of acting, and then it shined off. It shined on screen. It worked, man. So more power to him.
No,
man.
it definitely worked because I was just infatuated with him in the most sexual way.
And
ever.
he didn't tell Sam Jackson
Just
and Scarlett Johansson this. He just made it up in his mind while he was just acting.
Very
it was
good.
amazing.
So next up, one of my favorite actors, Samuel L. Jackson, is Nick Fury. I think we get a lot more introspective to who he is and how he became about, especially in tandem with the Robert Redford character, Alexander Pierce, who is weird because this is where like I get kind of like weirded out, especially when I read a lot of comic books. So like even this bugged me out. Like Sam Jackson's the director, but then Robert Redford's character is the director above the director. Like
I think he's the liaison for the World Security Council.
So okay, so he's he's the connection between the outside government worlds. Yeah. Okay, Nick.
And
cool.
that's why Nick Fury answers to him because he gets the orders from the World Security.
But I
Council.
feel like that's the thing though. It never felt like they answered to each other. I felt like they worked together, kind of. Because of the backstory.
Yeah, Nick Fury said like, he chose me to be director because we're gonna work as a team.
Yeah, and also with this movie, the Captain America Winter Soldier, out in theaters now. Get your tickets. Yes, that's a plug. I think it's the best solo film.
Yeah.
To incorporate the Avengers.
Oh yeah, definitely.
The way they talked about, Alexander Pierce goes to Samuel L. Jackson and Sam needs something for him to do. He goes, I need Captain America to come to my niece's.
No, Iron Man.
That's right. I need Iron Man to come to my niece's birthday party.
And not a flyby either. He needs to mingle. That's funny, man.
And that was great. And then even when the discussions about the relationship, about what peace is in the world, they talked about the helicarriers and how Stark, not only did they say Stark, but they also talk about when he got a first-hand look at the
propellers,
the turbine propellers. So you see Sam Jack and Robert Redford. Let me tell you something. If you like this movie, watch Spy Game with Robert Redford and Brad Pitt, and I forgot who the female lead was in that too, but it could have been Kate Winslet. I'm not sure. That's a good movie.
Kate Beckinsale, but I'm not sure.
Maybe I'm not sure. I'm really not sure.
I saw bits of that. I gotta watch it.
It's an amazing film. It's similar as far as the spy aspect of Captain America: Winter Soldier, but you could see where Robert Redford is pulling from in this movie. Even though he was a good guy in that one, but he's a bad guy in this one.
Yeah.
I really wanted him to be the Red Skull.
Yeah, me too, man.
I really wanted him to be the Red Skull.
I was waiting for it throughout the whole movie. Like, and then he got shot. I was like,
and it's also like the way he was portraying the character Alexander Pierce. Maybe it's better off he wasn't the Red Skull because he was kind of like a bitch in a bad way.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Like if it wasn't for his tech, he wouldn't have been so badass. Hail Hydra. And
that was sick when he said that, man.
In his dying words. And that's another thing too. The way the photo was composed was you see him there and there's like these delayed seconds of you just seeing that you're like waiting for something happening and then the next scene happens and like nothing happens. So next up we have Sebastian Stan. Sebastian Stan, not Shaw because I keep on saying Shaw. It's not a crossover.
Not yet.
Who plays Bucky Barnes, aka the Winter Soldier. Not much acting, but he didn't really.
It had like 10 lines in that.
Well, let's count them.
He spoke in Russian, which I loved.
Okay, yeah, that's the first line. He spoke in Russian. The second was who's Bucky?
Yeah. And then
I know that man on the bridge.
Yeah. Then he had that.
Is that even a line? It's like a syllable.
And then he had that little convo with Robert Redford. But I was like probably 2 or 1, right?
No, he didn't speak.
Oh, he didn't speak in that one?
He didn't. Oh,
when he was in the living room waiting for
no, he didn't speak.
He didn't speak? I thought he spoke.
When Robert Redford killed
his Bane, yeah.
Robert Redford didn't kill anybody. Alexander Pierce killed the maid.
Yeah.
That's 3 lines, and then, well, most of his lines came in the last fight.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
It's
so
not a lot, but
you can't really judge him. But the thing about Sebastian Stan in this, and not only him, but the Winter Soldier, was the initial fight, the first fight, the real fight.
yeah.
When he not in the rooftop, but when they fought and he caught the shield, and then he had the
knife
shield and the knife, and
I love
just
that.
like the Alexander Pierce scene, they like paused for. There's like a delay in the next scene, like it was like a still, and
like that was definitely like
there's a few reviewers who
gem.
feel that it's not going to be, but there's a majority that feels like what they're going to do is
Pass the mantle.
exactly. Like I don't think they're going to kill Captain America,
Yeah.
Chris Evans, because
Yeah.
I feel like he does want to do one more, but he probably just wants to do the major ones.
Oh, like RDJ deal where he just does the Avengers movies. Like, cause
Well,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
what they're saying, but
Yeah.
they like all these things could change.
But like some deal like that.
Yeah, some deal like that, but maybe not that much money.
Yeah.
Because he got a lot of money.
Yeah. And he said that when he did the cameo for Thor, that wasn't part of his contract either. Like a lot of people were concerned, like, oh, is that
Yeah.
part of the 6 movies?
So I guess he does have one more movie.
Yeah.
Then. But I would love to see the Winter Soldier as Captain America. But like finding that the way Captain America, the Winter Soldier Winter Soldier as Captain America in the comics book was more like you need Captain America as the beacon of hope.
Yeah, you need a captain. Man.
Yeah, and that's why like the gun was into play.
Yeah.
But then again, this is completely the Ultimate Universe is completely different. But like I don't know, like how could they play that? How could they play like? Because I think that's gonna be way too corny.
What I think is since
He does the ultimate sacrifice.
there is no more shield,
Yeah,
and we'll talk about this with when you see like Maria Hill getting like interviewed by Stark, and they said that in the comics Stark and Maria Hill start up a new shield. What I think is since Nick Fury's no more, like he's like into hiding.
we'll
right
talk
now,
more about that
yeah,
later.
I feel that I don't think they have to kill Chris Evans. Maybe he becomes the new director of Shield.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Because in the movie, he already had his Captain Rogers outfit. He could just wear that again as his director's uniform. And then he goes, Bucky, you need a purpose. Be Captain America. Be the hope that you need. You know what I mean? That's what I think. If I were to do it, that's how I would do it.
so that's directed to you, Callan Mulvey, for leaving the film to go do Batman versus Superman. Shoot, man, I'm so excited. I'm so excited for Captain America 3 because I just want to know what's going to happen. I believe it's going to be Sebastian Stan centric,
Yeah, definitely.
right? Because I don't know what. See, the thing is, I don't know what other. Not only that, but probably Crossbones centric too. Something.
Oh yeah,
like that.
Frank Grillo was great in this.
See,
he played Brock Rumlow, aka Crossbones.
Yeah. See, my brother felt that like they should have let Anthony Mackie win that fight, and I had to disagree. I had to.
No, because you had to make him feel like a real threat. What my only this is my only negative about this movie. This is our uncle Jay pointed this out to me. That when they showed that fight scene, well, they didn't really show it between Falcon and Brock Lumrow. They should have showed it because they just did the Rocky thing where they throw each other punch and then it cuts and then you just see. I don't understand why they cut it because there was so much going on.
Yeah,
already.
it's just a running. You got to focus more on the real story.
But I would have loved to just seen like a quick 3-minute. He gets knocked out and then something else happens and then Falcon has to run away. But that's about it. But every other scene he was in, you felt him becoming Crossbones throughout the movie. Like this is definitely the introduction to the character. We're gonna see him more.
Was him being burned pivotal to him?
Yeah, because he wears the mask for that. I think
for that.
Yeah.
So he has a Deadpool kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of disfigured. Okay. Because I didn't understand it. I thought like Frank Grillo was Brock Rumlow.
Yeah, Brock
is
Rumlow.
his name.
Yeah, Frank Grillo is his real name.
Is oopsie, spill in the studio. Yeah, I think that's gonna be a great character kind of reintroduced in Captain America 3.
And I also liked how they brought in Agent Stitwell from the TV show and the consultant.
I just hate his face.
That's why they made him a bad guy.
I hated his. It was something him in that one shot too, right? When he what was it with the Chitauri weapons? That's when he was right.
Yeah,
he is
item 47.
I hate his fucking face.
That's why they made him bad guy. It's like
he has one of those faces I just want to punch.
I loved how they made him bad guy because he was a connection to the Phase 1 movies and the one shots and to the TV show, and it showed how deep this conspiracy was, because like they played upon that in the third act where they don't know who the bad guy is, like in the trailer. Like, how do we know which one's the good guys? If the ones shooting at you, they're bad guys.
So, oh wait, what time are we on right now? Let's see. Oh wow, we're 40 minutes. This might be an hour-long review.
Definitely.
I'm telling you, we're gonna get in depth because I'm not even gonna get part. So let's talk about the scene that made me cry.
Oh man, I definitely teared in that scene.
As after the conversation with Nick Fury about freedom and peace and all that, Steve Rogers had to go. Captain America had to just leave and just kind of collect his thoughts. He goes, sees Falcon, Anthony Mackie's character in the PSD, the post PTSD, the post traumatic stress disorder from all these war vets and after the war, and then they just want to talk and basically the Cap doesn't know who he is anymore, or like where he fits into this.
Oh,
place.
I didn't cry at this scene.
I didn't cry in that scene. This is just the build. I'm leading it up.
Okay.
Let me lead it up.
My bad.
I'm gonna string them along. So you're already like the tone already changes. The tone changes. So you're like you're in Steve Rogers mode. Mm-hmm. You're not in Captain America mode. So they talk about that, and then the next scene, I'm guessing it's a nursing home. Yeah, I don't know where else this could be. He meets Peggy Carter, who's actually like the older 90-year-old Peggy Carter, who actually is played by Hallie Atwell.
Yeah, that's great.
I don't know if it was just, I don't know. There's a few people who were saying that it wasn't bad CG. They should have just got an older actress. But like, I didn't really tell.
Yeah, me
neither. I was more because I was just so involved because I think that setup scene was great because it just changed my emotion a little bit. So it's like, oh,
yeah, I was
this is it.
I was good. I got into it already by that point.
And then they talk about like Cap and that, you know, the memories they had. And then she takes a cough and completely forgets like she had Alzheimer's, and that's when I was like, oh man,
they hinted at that and just
I was like, oh my goodness.
When Steve Rogers turned around, she was like, oh, you're alive. You're still alive. I was like, oh no, they didn't do that.
And not only that, but then you look at Cap's face and how he's trying to keep composure. As to like he's done this several times.
Yeah, definitely.
I thought that was a great scene to put it, just to like round out Captain America's character. Well, Steve Rogers' character in the whole thing. Definitely made me tear a little bit. But we are running out of time. But let's go to your favorite scene. If you could pick one or two.
One or two. My favorite scene. Definitely the last fight scene. That from the actually like the climax. Actually, no, I got it. My favorite scene was when he's in his classic First Avenger uniform, which is great. He goes into that control room and makes that speech. I was like, right there, that is Steve Rogers.
Yeah,
because like you felt. The people like he would like some guy. It was some computer guy was getting held up by Brock Rumlow. He goes like, "Start the sequence," and then the guy goes like, "I can't do it. It's against Captain's orders." And then you see Sharon Carter point the gun. You heard him, Captain's orders. That's who Captain America is. He's the rallying call for everyone.
Oh my goodness, I can't believe. Oh, we can't really get too much depth into it, but we forgot to talk about Emily Van Camp's character, which is Kate, the next door neighbor, Agent 13, which we actually know is Sharon Carter, who's the niece of
Peggy.
She's great, and whatever. So, going off on this Angelo's favorite scene, that was actually my favorite scene. Obviously, it's kind of weird to have that as your favorite scene, just because it's the one thing in this entire movie that I wasn't sure of. Is she a good guy or a bad guy?
Yeah, because in the comics, she's been brainwashed to death.
Because, like, I feel like, she's Agent 13, though we've read that she was Sharon Carter. But then there's also these other theories that she's a Hydra agent. Mm-hmm. So when Brock Rumlow goes to this IT guy or mission control guy, it was just like, because as soon as she she pulls out the gun.
Yeah.
Everybody pulls out the gun on each other.
Like a Mexican standoff.
And it shows you.
That was epic.
And it not only does it show you, like, how cool that is,
Yeah.
it also shows you how deep Hydra is. Because half of them were S.H.I.E.L.D. agents, half of them were Hydra agents, and it was like...
You didn't know who was pointing the gun at the
I know,
good
you
guy
didn't
or
know
the
who
bad
was the
guy.
good guy or the
I
bad
was
guy.
like, wait, what's going on, man?
Also, some of the deaths in this movie was kind of fucking gruesome. If
Oh
you
my
look at it.
God. That dude, when he kicked him
Kicked
into
him to the
propeller?
propeller?
Holy shit.
It was just so... There was barely any blood. There was blood, but it wasn't like... Dude, they were like kind of like towing the line.
Yeah,
between
definitely.
PG-13
Yeah,
and R.
definitely.
Because these deaths...
And it's a Disney
These
movie, too.
deaths are... Like, they didn't show like the knife going through and cutting someone open. But it definitely showed you like your imagination starts doing all these tricks to
They
yourself.
definitely got what happens to your body if that happens, right?
So, negatives. I know we've been... So, I didn't really have that much negatives on
Like I said,
this movie, really.
my nitpicky one was if they should have showed a little more of the fight scene between Brock Rumlow and Falcon.
Yeah, I
And-
guess.
And I guess I could have done without that when they were in the Genius Bar. When that guy was like,
It
"Oh,
was kind of funny.
you
It was
look
kinda funny.
familiar," like, you know. But that's
Yeah.
about it. But yeah.
I'm being a little nitpicky, but I would have loved to see more Robert Redford just because you have such a great talent.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And you know what? Hiring Robert Redford is a good choice because it makes... Like, I don't know.
I was shocked when he got cast.
Well, the demographic of... Well, when I went to the movie theaters both times, it was a very mixed bag. It was kids, it was fathers, it was mothers,
And
was
old
teenage
people.
girls, it
There
was
was old
teenage
people when I watched
boys.
it.
There was old people in the second showing because I watched it at like 1:00 in the 1:00 in the afternoon. And you know, this entire cast has everybody to love for. That's why I feel like Ant-Man's going to be a great film because it has
Oh, yeah.
Michael Douglas.
Paul
You know,
Rudd.
there's a lot of people who just value these characters, and I think gone are the days that you go to see a film just because someone's in it. I would, like I didn't.
Yeah, it's all
watch
about the team ups
Yeah, it's
now.
all about like the
Ensembles.
story and things like that. So negatives as far, I don't know. It could have been better, but like it could have been 0.5 better. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like.
yeah. Well, to me, it was a perfect.
I can't really give that many negatives, and I would feel the same way with the Avengers. So all right, we have 13 minutes left. So let's talk about. First, we'll talk about the name drop from Sitwell, Agent Sitwell.
Yeah. Oh man. All right.
Stephen Strange.
Can I take this?
Go ahead, take it. Take
All
it.
right. So in the movie, Armanzola makes this algorithm, right? And it predicts who can be a potential threat to their organization. So that means superheroes. And the first big name drop you hear is the Sorcerer Supreme himself, Dr. Stephen Strange. I almost jumped out of my seat when I heard that name drop, man. I was like, yes, it's gonna happen. We're gonna see him. We're gonna see magic in the cinematic universe finally. So, that was great. And then I think they said something about a 9th grader, like who had a perfect score.
That's valedictorian.
Yeah,
you
I
said.
think that's Amadeus Chow, which is obviously
Explain.
he's like a character for the Hulk. Like he's like a tech genius, and like it happened recently. I forgot who.
Damn, you're fucking blowing my mind. 'Cause
Yeah.
I don't know this.
Yeah, look it up, people. Amadeus Chow. He's like this smart Asian kid who like follows around the Hulk and
Why the Hulk? Do you know why? Like,
I forgot why. But like they
Alright,
team up recently.
we're gonna
I know
wait.
that.
They team up?
like and
I guess because he's a threat.
Rick
to...
Rick Jones. He also like that when Rick Jones becomes the new Abomination or whatever. That's when he was like really cool with them and stuff.
Oh my god,
Yeah.
I'm so well.
It happened after World War Hulk. That's when they started. Like,
All right, so I'm gonna have to get my read on.
Yeah.
Before we go to the end credit scene, I'm just gonna plug. It's April now. It's gonna be soon Angelo's birthday. So
Oh,
we'll talk
yes.
about that. But another, not birthday, but renewal is the Amazing Spider-Man #1 comes out today, with a variant cover by Alex Ross. Mine's is pre-ordered. That's coming in the mail already.
One of my favorite comic book artists, man.
So, you know, even though there's a review, this is just a major plug on a great. I don't want you guys to miss out, so definitely get that. So with 10 minutes left, we're going to talk about the end credit scene, which is directed by Josh Whedon.
Mr. Josh Whedon himself.
Since you did the great Doctor Strange, well, why don't you explain the first end credit, which is the mid-credit scene by Josh Whedon.
You start off in like this underground basement laboratory thing. And then you hear a man talking, and he pops up, and it's Baron von Strucker himself with the monocle. So fans, don't worry, they have the monocle. He's bald, and he's talking about. Then you flash across the scene, and you see Loki's scepter on the table, and he starts talking about the age of miracles happening in the universe, the cinematic universe, and they talk about two survivors, and who do we see? The Maximoff twins, which is Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver. And my God, Elizabeth Olsen is a beauty.
It looks great. Those are great. The thing I took about with the Baron von Strucker quote was one of the scientists asked him, "Oh, what about Hydra? What about Shield?" And he said, "Well, Hydra and Shield are now two sides of a coin, the same coin that is not used for currency anymore." So if you want to go, this is very introspective, but if you really look at it, basically what he's saying is the age of these spies or these, like Captain America villains, they're gone.
To backtrack, when Thor said in Avengers 1, like when they had that whole big fight argument scene in the laboratory, and he goes like, this is a sign to the other worlds that Earth is ready for a higher form of war.
Yeah.
I think that's where Baron von Strucker was going with.
That's amazing that you made that connection, because that is true,
right?
So what a great next movie to be with Guardians of the Galaxy.
Exactly.
So basically, they're ready for. What's it's going to be the age of galactic war. Oh wow, galactic war! I can't really finish that because someone owns the rights to Galactus. But if I don't know, every fanboy should get excited by that. Just by those words about how just look into it. It's about the age of this bull that's happening between man on man is not gonna make any difference.
Not anymore.
When either Thanos, come on, the Chitauri came in Avengers 1. So, that's going to happen every day. It's going to be like an episode of Superman.
Exactly.
Like all these galactic, beyond the stars villains the
world's opening up.
Coming.
The world's opening up. The Age of Miracles. Coming. That's what they're calling it. The Age of Miracles.
To go with what you said, Quicksilver, you can't really judge it because they're in a confined box, so you don't know how the special effects is going to be. You got to understand.
I think it was done well, though.
It was done well, but
bouncing around like that
it was done well, but you got for the people who feel like it wasn't done well, it's an after credit scene. It's not a full movie.
That's probably like the test.
Give it some time. Too, give it some time. We don't even have any. They're not even close to done filming. So, the thing that it always triggered was Scarlet Witch has hex powers, right?
Exactly.
So when she was playing with those block cubes, she's not changing. This is how I feel. I might be completely wrong. So you comic book nerds, give me a break.
Yeah.
She could bend reality, basically, right?
Yeah, and her powers is she can bend reality to her will, and she can't control it.
Exactly. So she's not really changing what these things are. It's basically It's changing everybody's perception of reality to what these things are. Because before, the black screen comes, she kind of changes these blocks into spikes. They're they're like,
you know what I liked about that?
Weapons.
When they showcase there, you see the red in her powers, like in the comics. That was great, man.
She had a little aura, her eyes glowed.
Yeah, her eyes glow and they captured her her demented side perfectly in that one shot.
And it's I don't know. I'm just so super excited about this.
Elizabeth Olsen, marry me.
She's listening. It's kind of weird too because Godzilla, they're married, and then now
they're brothers,
not their brother sister, but whatever. If you don't care about Godzilla, then you're not even gonna notice.
Well, she has done an incest movie already. So.
Oh my God. I don't want to talk about that.
Sorry.
It it gives me a lot of hope, and I think the last end credit scene, basically we go back to the Smithsonian, we go to the Captain America portion of that, and who do we see looking at Bucky Barnes' picture?
Bucky Barnes.
Bucky Barnes, the Winter Soldier. So basically, all that mind washing or mind trapping or mind altering things that they did to him is starting to wear off because, as it was said in the previous scene, they can't put him on ice anymore because it's been way too long.
Yeah.
So now it's like the journey through. Now I feel like now Winter Soldier has PTSD.
Yeah.
Like we don't know what he's gonna do. He could just kill everybody.
We don't even know what he
rage.
remembers.
Exactly.
You know, like maybe he remembers. Maybe he's starting to remember who he is, but does he remember what he's done as the Winter Soldier?
Yeah, exactly.
Killing Howard Stark and Maria Stark.
Yeah,
that's gonna be sick if they're ever on screen together. That little, like,
do we know offhand that he's not in Age of Ultron?
Not yet. I haven't heard anything yet.
So we don't know good, bad, or indifferent.
But if they ever share a screen together, how that relationship between Bucky and Tony is gonna play off on screen? Because I killed your parents,
and that's another rift between Stark and Cap.
And exactly, like, this is my friend. He didn't know what he was doing.
Yeah.
He killed my parents.
Yeah.
But, you know,
that would be good. Why is there not an Iron Man 4? I wouldn't mind. Well, I guess
maybe maybe that's when they should recast.
I might be in my minority, but I don't mind seeing Don Cheadle Iron Man.
Oh yeah, that'd be
fine. I think that'd be pretty.
Don Cheadle time.
Like House of Lies is hilarious.
And he was great as Captain Planet in those Funny or Die videos.
But I'll tell you this
trees.
much. I think the Cap and Sam Wilson, like brothers of arms relationship is better than the Don Cheadle. I mean the Rhodey, Tony Stark relationship.
Because I don't think it's been done well yet. You know, I think they're still trying to find that groove. Because when Shane Black tried to do it, he tried to make it like a buddy cop thing.
Well, that's the thing. It wasn't a Marvel movie.
Yeah.
It became like a Shane Black film.
Yeah,
that's just the way I looked at it.
That's why I feel Captain America: Winter Soldier is as good as Dark Knight, or even better, because I felt it was a political thriller with superheroes, like how I felt Batman was a New York, detective crime drama with Batman. You know, that's why I think you guys should definitely watch this movie. That's my last 2 cents.
Yeah. We have great heroes in the Marvel Universe, and I'm super excited about Guardians of the Galaxy, and to what they're going to bring to the table.
Oh,
so
is
now,
Thanos in it? I'm not.
He might be.
I wonder who's going to be casted as him.
What is Nebula? Nebula's his granddaughter?
His daughter.
So,
but I think they might make it like his adopted daughter or whatever.
Or they could just make it like he's like a side shot. They don't have to show all of him. But there's a lot of there's just one fan picture that would look pretty good that, if it's true, then I'm pretty cool with Thanos. But do we really want to see Thanos yet? I feel like it has that has to be the catnip that's like.
I think that should be their mid-credit scene, and then have another scene after the credits, like alluded going back to the MCU.
There's also some speculation that Guardians of the Galaxy is a standalone film and that it won't tie into like Avengers 3.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if that's true or not.
I don't mind either.
But I want them to be an origin story. I want them to be by themselves.
Plus, Kevin Feige has just recently said they have movies planned to 2028, so
that could change too.
Yeah, but
I think that's more a knock. That's like some knock on DC, who can't even get a freaking film on. Yet,
but even though people might say it's like, oh, that 2028, that's preposterous, but people believe it because look at the track record they have right now. Phase 7 is coming, guys. It's gonna happen. And only though we're on phase 2.
So till 2028.
Yeah.
My name is Micki Angeles. You can find me on Instagram, on Twitter at MickCertified.
And I'm Fred Niones. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at _Fred_N.
And this has been a Simply Put podcast. You can find us at www.simplyputtalk.com. You can find us on Twitter and on Facebook at Simply Put Talk. So this is our first initial review. Please stay tuned. and look for updates and movie news, TV news.
Oh, that's coming. Fred's
it's
TV
coming.
corner is coming. It's on development right now. We forgot to talk about the Avengers Tower gem too.
Dude,
But anyway,
tons.
We'll see you guys. Thank you for listening. Have a great week.
See ya.